Hey CB, I was going to start my review and wanted to... What are you doing? Oh, it's kind of hard to tell with the eyes and all. Nothing? Why are you meditating? That's great. I was going to review the Overarms RPG and you could... Alright, just try not to fall asleep. Hello my lovelies and welcome to the NPC Reviews. Have you ever tried to build something in an RPG like what you see in a cartoon or anime and not be able to get it quite right? This is a frequent occurrence, especially in anime. In particular, anime where you summon a spirit or a spiritual or psychic manifestation that enhances you as you two fight as one, a la the Persona series or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. As this is the case, let's take a look at the anime-inspired game of summons, Overarms by Rookie Chat. Trying to keep the Project Arms references out of my head will be tricky. In a nutshell, you play as people called users.
I fight for the users.
Who have the supernatural ability to summon a manifestation of their life force or psyche, and anima. This often takes the form of deities, ghosts, guardian angels, and the like, but can be whatever. These anima endow their users with enhanced abilities and unique powers. Together, the user and the anima gain understanding, often fighting other users as well as supernatural threats, and investigating mysteries and intrigue. The core system of Overarms is roll a dice, or 2 dice, we'll get to that in a second, and try to equal or exceed a target number, with occasional bonuses or penalties determined by the GM. And that's it. It's a simple and lightweight system, but things do get a little beefier once character creation starts. Character creation is also a straightforward affair. Starting with the user, you have a pool of 5 dice consisting of a d4 up to a d12, and you have 5 stats: charisma, dexterity, strength, intelligence, and hit points. Based off your character concept, you assign each die to one of your stats. With hit points, you take the value of the die and double it. This becomes the amount of damage you can take before bad things happen. After that, you determine your virtue, vice, and drive. Your virtue is what you hold in high moral regard, from always being kind to children to never robbing from the poor. Your vice is a flaw that drags your character down. You could be excessively paranoid or unable to not make fun of certain people. As you might expect, your drive is what pushes you forward. It could be justice for what was done to your family, or trying to win the heart of the one you love. The options for all are myriad, and while they don't provide a mechanical benefit, they make your character more than just dice on the table. From there, you determine how you earn your money, and your social status. Do you have a job that takes time out of your day, or do you have passive income as a student or coming from money? Or there's always the time-honored tradition of looting your fallen foes of cash and relics to sell as you explore the world around you. Your choice, no judgments. After the user comes the anima. The process is similar, a dice pool with a d4 up to a d12 and 5 stats to assign them. In this case, the stats are power, speed, defense, range, and anima points. Anima points are the power source for your anima that, once all are spent, leave the user fatigued and in need of rest. Like hit points, you take the value of the die and double it to determine the amount of energy you have at full capacity. Once stats are assigned, you choose what type of anima you have. Anima come in 4 types: warrior, assassin, magician, and guardian. This determines what stats are used for its attack and damage, and whether they specialize in fighting up front, taking a hit for the team, or attacking at a distance. Then you pick your anima special ability. These are abilities unique to each anima and can be used both in combat and in everyday circumstances. These abilities can be anything from creating and controlling magnetism, to reading minds, to creating small storms. Just spend an anima point and you can do it. Feel free to get creative in coming up with abilities and their applications. Now to that 1 die versus 2 dice part of the mechanics, which is called junctioning. Not that, but not far off. Right, sorry. If a user is only using their own abilities, they roll 1 die to try and accomplish something. However, they can draw on their anima to enhance their abilities. You spend an anima point, and then add one of your anima stats to your roll. Additionally, when you junction, you can now get criticals, be they failures or successes. Double ones is a botch, and getting the highest on both dice, or double 6s, gets you a critical. Junctioning is what pushes the user into the superhuman levels. Fun times. For an example, let's take a fellow who has a d12 in strength, a d4 charisma, a d8 intelligence, and a d6 dexterity, with 20 hit points, a virtue of loyalty, and a vice of temper, with a drive of defeat his family's centuries-old enemy to save his mother. His anima is a warrior type with a d4 range, a d12 in power, a d8 in defense, and a d6 in speed, with 20 hit points. Its special ability is Super Sight. capable of seeing up to 4 kilometers away, or seeing the minutest of details, such as in a shuffling deck of cards. Put all this together and you get Jotaro Kujo in his stand Star Platinum of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. From students to special agents to everything in between, you can implement a multitude of concepts and characters in Overarms. Overarms is meant to be broadly applied, and as such gives the GMs pieces to apply to times or genres that they choose. These pieces are the anima and user phenomenon itself, the mirage, and the scenario generator. The scenario generator is what you might expect, a series of tables that you roll on to generate plot hooks to start or base your story on. The juiciest piece they give you is the mirage. The mirage is the realm in between the normal world and the world where anima would normally reside. How it looks varies, from a subway with TV static running along the walls, to a plurality of pocket realms, to an endless labyrinth drenched in green moonlight. What the mirage is, why it is, and how it is up to the exploring users to discover. But the mirage is dangerous, filled with traps and enemies called an animus. Similar in the nature to an anima, but they have no user and are generally hostile, be that physically or just out to swindle and explore, and what's worse is that their appearance is distorted until you get close, so you don't know what you're getting until you're up front in the thick of things. If you're lucky, you'll find a nice one, but in general it's safer to assume hostility. On a meta level, the mirage is meant to be a source of dungeon crawling and of mystery, with the added bonus of being a place to gather resources, money, and experience as needed. As these are pieces, you can apply them to most any time, place, or genre, and get some interesting results, or replicate some of your favorite animes. Overarms does give a small sample scenario and setting in the form of Strange Academy. The players are likely students of Open Glen High School in Northbrook, a small city in 1990s America. Why the 1990s? That's probably due to the creator wanting to have a comfortable level of technology while still having limited communication options. I mean, how many problems or dangerous situations could have been solved by having a reliable method of communication on you at all times? Or nostalgia. Hey, shouldn't you? Northbrook has the haunts you might expect. Booker Park, a decent park frequented by students, and its adjacent beer can littered woods. There's also the dying Northbrook Mall and the Hideout Coffee Shop. It's not too far from the school where our students can meet, and much more. Then, out of nowhere, a freak lightning storm hits Open Glen, revealing distorted animuses and causing a number of the students to unknowingly develop animas. In the aftermath, the fatherly Principal Newman seems to be hiding something. What's more, a group of troublemaking students seem to be given a free pass by the principal despite their poor behavior. Additionally, students start to disappear. The only clue is the hand of one of them being found with Mirage carved into it. Are all of these connected? If so, how? And how do the students play into all of this? That's up to you and your GM to discover. Something to note for Overarms is that, as mentioned earlier, it is a lightweight system. It's all stat rolls or junctioning for action determination. There's no skills. Also, while example anima abilities are given, ultimately they are created by the player and the GM. This is not a crunch system. It relies on strong player and GM collaboration. This is in no way a bad thing, but it might not fit everyone's preferences, especially if they prefer the crunchier systems where everything is well defined and the system tends to run on its own with more niche adjudication from the GM rather than creation. Also, the game strongly encourages player input on setting details and the elements of the Mirage to really make it a collaborative experience. An additional thing to mention is that character advancement only goes up to level 10. Over the levels, characters gain stat improvements for both the user and the anima, along with a new ability and an improvement of an earlier ability. Basically, Overarms is solid for mid-length campaigns. For players used to having new stuff or planning out their progression, there's enough to keep them going for that long. Long-term campaigns really become dependent on how well the player takes to the creative flexibility of ability application and junctioning. As mentioned before, Overarms can allow you to play in the settings of some notable animes: JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the Persona series, Shaman King, etc. Theoretically, you could do Kill la Kill or even Bleach. Is Bleach still culturally relevant?
How do you do, fellow kids?
Keep in mind, though, that this is for broad strokes and themes. If you're looking to replicate some of the more granular aspects of the setting or video games, like the high leveling and skill stat management of Persona, you're not going to find that here. But if you're more interested in the manifesting of your Persona and figuring out how it plays into the mysteries of this world and the other world, then you'll be happy. As for the kinds of stories you can tell, you can really do a lot with the pieces given. For example, you can do the underground mystical martial arts anime, where all the fighters have an anima and pit themselves against each other to see who is the strongest. And in the midst of all this, the fighters discover that someone in the underground wants to use the power of Animus or the Mirage to change in a devastating way. Can the fighters save the day and prove who is the strongest? Also, cyberpunk. They mention the idea in the book. I'm just building on it. Aren't you almost there? Anyway, let's say in a cyberpunk city, the users actually have bleeding-edge cyberware that is managed by their personal Anima AI installed on their systems. Each Anima has its proprietary programs, aka abilities, that they can use to influence the tech and grid around them. In this scenario, the Mirage is actually the net that they jack into, with Animuses being intrusion countermeasures, and the various landscapes and dungeons being systems that they hack into for pay data. You know what you get when you have the Animas be the spirits of the dead, who make a pact with people who just died or got too close to save by normal means in order to give them a second chance at life, while also helping the spirit complete its unfinished business, while also having the Mirage be the upper reaches of the underworld? You get an anime version of Geist the Sin Eaters, or in this case, Geisto, Sumi o Tabaru Hito. Needless to say, there's a lot you can do. Overarms is a very lightweight system for a fun but well-defined niche. It's quick and easy to pick up though, and so long as you're flexible with the fluffiness, you're going to have a good time. Ta-da! I guess you could say I was your anima the whole time. And that's Overarms. Oh hey CB, wanna help me with the outro? Okay, until next time, fare thee well my lovelies.